Hello, today we're going to learn about how to create sentences with quoted and reported speech. Let's get started. Quoted speech, also known as direct speech, is used when the exact words are worth repeating and are remembered because they have been recorded on video, audio, or in print. We use quoted speech when we want to write or say exactly what someone else has said. Quoted speech is common in stories and news reports, and is noticeable by its use of quotation marks. And here's an example. John said, "I love this class." There's a list of verbs that can be used for quoted speech. We will review these in a moment. Whatever verb is chosen can come at the beginning or at the end of a quote. If it comes at the beginning, one must use the subject plus the verb followed by the quote. Here's an example. Dr. Spock said, "Every baby needs to be smiled at." Notice the subject comes first, Dr. Spock. Then the verb, said. And then the quoted speech. And those words are exactly the words that Dr. Spock said. Now let's talk about if the verb comes at the end of the quote. In this case, the subject and the verb can be inverted, or it can be kept as a subject-verb order. Here are two examples, and you can use either one. Either one is okay. Every baby needs to be smiled at, Dr. Spock said. Or, every baby needs to be smiled at, said Dr. Spock. Again, if it comes at the end, the subject and verb could be in the normal order, subject and then verb, or you can flip it and use the verb first and then the subject. Either one is okay. Here are the verbs that we use in quoted speech. Say, suggest, confess, shout, call, add, remark, continue, beg, inquire, comment, reply, whisper, promise, yell, complain, agree, answer, explain, tell, ask, announce, respond, begin, explain. And these are usually used in the past tense when we are quoting someone else, because usually they spoke it in the past, and then we use the past tense verb. Punctuation at the end of a sentence. When the quoted speech goes at the end of the sentence, place a comma after the subject and the reporting verb, such as this, Miss Mercer explained, then comma. And then insert the first of the quotation marks. After the comma, put the quotation marks. Then begin the sentence or phrase inside the quotation marks with a capital letter. So you capitalize after a comma. This is the only time that we will capitalize the word that comes after a comma. It's because it's almost like a new sentence. It's the sentence that Miss Mercer said in this example. Okay? Let's keep going. That's step 4. Place the correct punctuation, period, question mark, or exclamation point at the end of the sentence. Usually it's a period, but if the quote from what someone else said is the form of a question, that if they asked a question in the past, you could use a question mark. If they yelled something, you could use an exclamation point. But here's an example. Miss Mercer explained, noun clauses are difficult. You had the period at the end of what Miss Mercer said. Step 5, insert the second set of quotation marks after the punctuation. So this will be the very end of the sentence. Miss Mercer explained, noun clauses are difficult. So again, you have to have a comma before the quoted speech. Then you have quotation marks at the beginning and at the very end after the period or question mark or exclamation point. Okay, when the quoted speech begins the sentence, begin the first set of quotation marks at the very, very beginning, quotation marks. Then capitalize the first letter of the sentence, whatever the quote is. The roses are beautiful. And then at the end of this quote, at the end of the quote, whatever was spoken, place a comma, a question mark, or an exclamation mark, but not a period. So if someone else said, "The roses are beautiful," you could put an exclamation point. Or if they said it without, shouting, without much energy, they just said, "The roses are beautiful," you could put a comma, but don't put a period. Then insert the second set of quotation marks after the comma, question mark, or exclamation mark. So you have the end of the quotes there. And then insert the subject and the reported verb. Or remember, you could flip that and you could do the verb and then the subject of whoever is saying it. Okay, "The roses are beautiful," Lana said. Or, "The roses are beautiful," said Lana. And if she didn't say it with a lot of emotion or energy, you could just put a comma instead of an exclamation point in this example. When the quoted speech is split between the subject and the verb, begin with the first set of quotation marks, capitalize the first letter of the sentence, then at the end of the first part of the quote, place a comma and in those quotation marks. Okay, step 4, insert the subject and reporting verb and follow the verb with a comma. "Miss Mercer," said Amy. And then we have more to say, like Amy said a whole sentence. Okay, so let's keep going with the quote. Include another set of quotation marks and begin the second part of the quote with the lowercase. "Miss Mercer," said Amy, "is the grammar instructor." Okay, so here we have Amy said this sentence sometime in the past. She said, "Miss Mercer is the grammar instructor." But you could split up what she said like this. It's a little bit awkward in this case, but it works. You could do this. "Miss Mercer," said Amy, "is the grammar instructor." And then punctuate the end of that quote, that sentence. "Miss Mercer," said Amy, "is the grammar instructor." Period at the end of the sentence. And then a second set of quotation marks at the end. So again, in this case, the exact words that Amy said was this: "Miss Mercer is the grammar instructor." Those are the words that Amy said. But now you could write it in a sentence like this: "Miss Mercer," said Amy, "is the grammar instructor." And notice whatever's in quotations are the words that Amy said. Okay? Let's keep going with punctuation. When the quoted speech goes in between more than one sentence, look at this example. "Miss Joan teaches writing," said Miss Mercer. "Miss Amy teaches reading." Or you could do it like this: "Miss Joan teaches writing, Miss Amy teaches reading," Miss Mercer said. And remember, the most important thing to know is that whatever is in quotations must be the exact words that the person said. In this case, we have a quote from Miss Mercer. These are the words that Miss Mercer said, and whatever words Miss Mercer said needs to be in quotations.